At 21, my dad kicked me out at 2 a.m. in the pouring rain. 2 weeks later, my mom walked into a bar and heard him laughing about it with his friends. What happened next destroyed his entire life. But let me start at the beginning. The night that changed everything. October 12th. Friday night bleeding into Saturday morning. I was finishing my shift at the warehouse loading dock work that paid $14.50 an hour, plus night differential. Not great money, but steady. I'd been doing it for 8 months, saving everything I could. Had almost $3,000 in my account. First time in my life I'd had real money saved. The shift ended at 1:30 a.m. I clocked out, grabbed my bag, drove home in my beat-up Honda. Pulled into the driveway at 1:57 a.m. House was dark, except for the porch light. I should have known something was wrong. That light was never on when I got home from night shifts. I walked up to the door. Tired. Feet hurting. Thinking about bed. About my 9 a.m. class the next day. Yeah, I was working nights and going to community college during the day, trying to get my associate's degree. Exhausting, but I was managing. I opened the door quietly. Didn't want to wake anyone. My dad was sitting on the stairs. Waiting. Still dressed. Smell of beer thick in the air. Not stumbling drunk, but that loose-limbed, mean kind of drunk, where everything becomes someone else's fault. "You're late," he said. I checked my phone. 1:58 a.m. Shift ended at 1:30. I came straight home. "You think you can just come and go whenever you want? This isn't a hotel." I'd heard this before. Usually when he'd been drinking. Usually when something at his job had gone wrong. He worked construction when there was work, which wasn't always. Usually when he was feeling like the world was against him and needed someone to take it out on. "I was working, Dad. You know my schedule." He stood up. That's when I noticed my duffel bag at his feet. The one I kept in my closet, packed with clothes. "What's that?" I asked. "Your stuff. You're not welcome here anymore." I thought he was joking. One of those drunk threats that would be forgotten by morning. "Dad, it's 2 a.m. Can we talk about this tomorrow?" "No. Get out. Now." He picked up the bag, walked past me, opened the door, and threw my bag onto the front lawn. It was pouring rain, had been all evening. The bag landed in a puddle, water soaking through immediately. "Dad, what the hell? You heard me. Get out." "What did I do?" "You think you're so much better than everyone else. Working your little job, saving your money, going to college." He said college like it was an insult. "Walking around here like you own the place, leaving your crap everywhere." I looked down. My work boots were by the door, muddy from the loading dock. I always left them there so I wouldn't track dirt through the house. "You're kicking me out because of my boots?" "I'm kicking you out because you're a disrespectful little garbage who thinks he can live here for free while judging everyone else." None of that was true. I paid rent, $400 a month. Bought my own food, cleaned up after myself. But drunk logic doesn't care about facts. "Can I at least wait until morning? It's pouring. Not my problem. Dad, please." He slammed the door in my face. I stood there, rain soaking through my work shirt, staring at the closed door. Part of me thought he'd open it. Apologize. Say he didn't mean it. He didn't. I stood there for 10 minutes. Getting wetter. Getting colder. Trying to understand what had just happened. Finally, I walked to the lawn. Picked up my soaked bag. Looked at the house one more time. Then I walked away. I didn't call my mom. She was 3 states away taking care of her sister who'd had surgery. Aunt Marie, breast cancer. Mom had been gone for 2 weeks, planning to stay another month. I'd talked to her 3 days ago. She was stressed, exhausted, dealing with hospital visits and recovery care. The last thing she needed was me calling at 2 a.m. saying Dad had kicked me out. I didn't call friends either. Too much pride. Too much shame. What would I even say? "Hey, can I crash at your place because my dad threw me out in the rain?" No, I'd figure it out myself. I walked. 4 miles. To the 24-hour diner where I'd worked before the warehouse job, place called Mel's. I knew the night manager, understood the layout, knew where they kept the spare key to the break room. I got there around 3:20 a.m., soaked through, shivering. The night cook, Eddie, was smoking out back when I walked up. Jesus, Tyler, you fall in a lake? Something like that. Can I use the break room, just for tonight? Eddie looked at me. Didn't ask questions. Yeah, man. You know where the key is. The break room was small. Lockers, a bench, a table. I locked the door, stripped off my wet clothes, hung them over a chair. Wrapped myself in my jacket from the bag, one of the few things that wasn't soaked through. I lay down on the bench, used my bag as a pillow. Didn't sleep much, just lay there, trying to process. Replaying the conversation, trying to figure out what I'd done wrong. The boots. He'd mentioned the boots. But that wasn't it. That was never it. I thought about the last few months. How I'd been working, saving money. How I'd mentioned my account balance sometimes, proud of myself for finally having savings. How Dad would get quiet when I talked about it. How he'd make comments about me acting like some rich kid when I bought groceries with my own money. That was it, wasn't it? He was jealous. Jealous that his 21-year-old son was working steady, saving money, going to school. While he was between jobs, drinking at bars, coming home angry at the world. But that realization didn't make the bench any softer or the situation any less fucked. I stayed in that break room for 3 days. Eddie covered for me. Told the day manager I was doing inventory in the storage area if anyone asked. Brought me food from the kitchen. Scrambled eggs, toast, coffee. I'd sneak out at night to use the diner bathroom, shower in the employee bathroom sink as best I could. During the day, I looked for rooms to rent. Checked Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, called numbers posted on bulletin boards. Everything was either too expensive or too sketchy or already taken. Finally, on day 3, I found it. Room above a laundromat. Older Vietnamese couple owned the place. Mrs. Nguyen showed me the room. Maybe 10x 10 feet. Mattress on the floor. Shared bathroom down the hall. Smelled like detergent and old building. $400, first month deposit. You clean, you quiet, you pay on time? Yes, ma'am. You have job? Yes, warehouse, night shift. She looked at me, really looked at me. Probably saw a tired kid with everything he owned in a damp duffel bag. Okay, you move in today. You need blanket? I have extra. I almost cried. That would be really helpful. Thank you. She brought me 2 blankets, a pillow, some dishes. Didn't ask why a 21-year-old was renting a room above a laundromat with nothing but a bag of clothes. Just helped. I moved in that afternoon, set up my mattress, hung my clothes to dry on a rope I strung across the room. Sat on the floor and ate instant noodles I'd bought from the corner store. This was home now. I didn't tell anyone what had happened. Not my classmates at community college. Not my co-workers at the warehouse. Not the few friends I still kept in touch with from high school. I just worked, went to class, studied in the laundromat sometimes when it was quiet. Mrs. Nguyen would bring me tea. We'd talk. She'd tell me about Vietnam, about coming to America with nothing, about building the laundromat from savings. You working hard, she said once. You remind me of my son. He work hard too. Now he's engineer. Yeah, that's great. You go school? Community college, trying to get my associate's degree. Good. Education important. You keep working hard, you be okay. I wanted to believe her. The first week was the hardest, adjusting to the room. The sounds from the laundromat below. The weird smell. The shared bathroom with strangers. Eating nothing but instant noodles and peanut butter sandwiches because that's what I could afford. But I managed. Kept going to class. Kept working my shifts. Kept my head down. I called Mom once, Thursday night. She sounded tired, but better. Aunt Marie was recovering. Mom would be home in 2 weeks. How are you doing, sweetie? How's your dad? Fine. Everything's fine. He's not giving you trouble? No, Mom. We're good. I couldn't tell her. Not over the phone. Not while she was dealing with her sister's cancer. She had enough to worry about. Okay, I'll be home soon. Love you? Love you too. I hung up, sat on my mattress, looked around my 10x10 room, wondered how I was going to explain this when she got back. But that was 2 weeks away. I had time to figure it out. What I didn't know, what I couldn't have known, was that everything was about to change. Because 2 weeks later, on a Friday night, my dad would be at his usual bar, drinking with his usual buddies, telling stories, laughing, and he'd tell them about me, about that rainy night, about throwing his son out. And he wouldn't notice the woman who just walked through the door, wouldn't notice her freeze, wouldn't notice her face as she heard every word. My mother had come home early, and she'd just heard everything. 2 weeks passed. 14 days of instant noodles, laundromat washing machines humming below my room, and pretending everything was fine. I'd settled into a routine. Wake up at 3 p.m., shower in the shared bathroom, eat whatever cheap food I'd bought, ramen, peanut butter, discount bread, head to my 5 p.m. class at community college, study at the library until 9 p.m., drive to the warehouse, work the midnight to 8 a.m. shift, come back, sleep, repeat. Mrs. Nguyen noticed I was living on garbage, started leaving containers of food by my door. Pho, spring rolls, rice with vegetables. I make too much, she'd say, even though I knew she didn't. I tried to pay her extra. She refused. You pay rent on time, you quiet, you respectful, that's enough. On Friday, 2 weeks after being kicked out, I was getting ready for my shift. 10 p.m., pulling on my work boots. Different ones now, bought cheap from Walmart because my good boots were still at the house. Still by that door, probably still muddy. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But something made me pick up. Tyler? Woman's voice. Older. Familiar, but I couldn't place it. Yeah? It's Margaret. From next door to your parents? Mrs. Hewitt. The neighbor who'd lived next to us for 15 years, baked cookies at Christmas, complained about Dad's lawn. Oh, hi, Mrs. Hewitt. Is everything okay? I wasn't sure if I should call, but I thought you should know. Your mother came home today. Early. My stomach dropped. Mom's home? Yes, this afternoon. I saw her pull in. She looked surprised the house was empty. Your father wasn't there. Okay. Tyler, where are you? Your mother asked me if I'd seen you. I said no. She looked worried. I didn't know what to say. Mom was home, 3 weeks early, and she was looking for me. I'm at a friend's place, I lied. I'll call her. Thanks for letting me know. Are you all right, sweetheart? The concern in her voice almost broke me. Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, Mrs. Hewitt. I hung up, sat on my mattress, stared at my phone. I should call Mom, tell her what happened. But what would I say? Hey, welcome home early. By the way, Dad kicked me out in the rain 2 weeks ago, and I've been living in a room above a laundromat. I decided to wait until after my shift. Figure out what to say. Maybe text her first. I had no idea that in 3 hours, everything would explode. Because my mother, confused about where I was and why the house felt wrong, had started calling my father. He wasn't answering. So she got in her car and started looking for him. And she knew exactly where he'd be on a Friday night. Murphy's Bar was my dad's second home. Had been for years. Dive bar on the east side, cheap beer, sports on TV, same group of guys every weekend. His crew, Rick, Tommy, Dave, and sometimes Dave's brother whose name I never learned. That Friday night, 11 p.m., they were at their usual table, 5 beers deep, laughing too loud, slapping the table. My dad was in the middle of a story. So I'm sitting there on the stairs, right? Waiting for this kid to come home. It's almost 2 a.m., and he walks in like nothing's wrong, like he owns the damn place. This is Tyler, Rick asked. Yeah, Tyler, my son, the one who thinks he's too good for everyone. Dad took a drink. So I tell him, you're done. Pack your things. Get out. No way. You kicked him out? Damn right I did. Should have done it years ago. Kid's 21, walking around like he's some kind of hotshot because he works at a warehouse and goes to community college. The way he said community college, mocking, dismissive. Tommy laughed. What did he say? He tried to argue. But Dad, it's 2 a.m., it's raining. My father mimicked a whiny voice that sounded nothing like me. And I said, not my problem. threw his bag on the lawn and shut the door. They were laughing now, all of them. It was pouring rain, Dad continued, grinning. Kid just stood there like a lost puppy, soaking wet, looking at the door like I was going to change my mind. You didn't, though. Hell no. Let him stand there. Teach him some respect. More laughter. Dave slapped the table. Tough love, man. Sometimes they need it. Exactly. Kid thought he could just live there free, judge everyone, act like he's better than his old man because he's got a few bucks saved. Wait, you kicked him out for having money? Tommy asked. I kicked him out for being disrespectful, walking around with his nose in the air, leaving his things everywhere, boots by the door, clothes in the bathroom, like he owns the place. Where's he staying now? Dad shrugged. Don't know, don't care. Probably with friends or his mother's family. He'll figure it out. Maybe it'll teach him something. Rick raised his glass. To tough parenting. They all clinked glasses. You should have seen his face, Dad said, laughing harder now. Standing in the rain, like some wet dog. I almost felt bad. Almost. That's when the bar door opened. Nobody noticed at first, just another customer coming in from the cold. But then the laughter at their table died. Because the woman who'd just walked in was standing 3 feet away. Frozen. Staring at my father. My mother. She'd been calling him for 2 hours. Tried the house. Tried his cell. Finally decided to check the bar. Walked in, expecting to find him watching a game. Ask him where the hell their son was. Instead, she heard him laughing about throwing me out. Heard the rain. The puppy comment. The boots. The mockery. Heard everything. The table went silent. Rick noticed her first. Nudged Tommy. One by one, they stopped laughing. My father, mid-drink, noticed everyone staring. Turned around. Saw his wife. Susan. She held up a hand. Voice quiet. Calm. The kind of calm that's more terrifying than screaming. Where is my son? The entire bar had gone quiet now. Even the TV seemed muted. Susan, you're home early. Where is my son? Dad set down his beer, tried to smile. He's fine. Probably at a friend's. You threw him out, in the rain, at 2 a.m. He was being disrespectful. He works nights. He was coming home from his job. The job he works to pay you rent. Look, I made a parenting decision. You threw our son out of the house because of boots by the door. Tommy shifted uncomfortably. Rick stared at his beer. Dad's face was turning red. This is between us. We don't need to do this here. No, we're doing this here. Mom's voice was still quiet, still calm. Because you sat here with your friends and laughed about it, made jokes, called him a wet dog. I didn't. I heard you, every word. You threw him out in pouring rain at 2 a.m. Your 21-year-old son who works full-time, goes to school, pays rent, and has never once disrespected you. And you sat here laughing about it. The bartender had stopped moving. Every person in Murphy's was watching now. Susan, we can talk about this at home. Where is he? I don't know. I figured he'd... You don't know. She said it like a statement, like confirmation of something she'd already suspected. You threw your son out 2 weeks ago and you don't know where he is. He's an adult. He can take care of himself. He's our son. Dad stood up, tried to look authoritative. You're making a scene. Good. She turned around, walked toward the door. Susan, wait. She stopped. Didn't turn around. Just spoke to the room. Anyone here who thinks it's funny to kick out your kid at 2 a.m. in the rain? Anyone who wants to laugh about that? Silence. She walked out. Dad stood there, his buddies staring at their drinks. The entire bar watching him. Rick cleared his throat. I should probably get going. Yeah, me too, Tommy muttered. They left cash on the table, walked out without looking at him. My father sat back down, alone. Finished his beer in silence while the entire bar pretended he didn't exist. I was loading pallets when my phone rang. 11:47 p.m. Mom. My hands were shaking as I answered. Mom. Tyler. Her voice cracked. Baby, where are you? And just like that, 2 weeks of holding it together fell apart. I'm at work. The warehouse. I'm okay, Mom. Where are you living? Mrs. Hewitt said you haven't been home. I found a place. It's fine. Just a room, but it's... Send me the address, right now. Mom, it's almost midnight. You just got home. You should rest. Send me the address, Tyler, please. I sent it. 45 minutes later, headlights pulled up outside the laundromat. I'd told my supervisor there was a family emergency, left my shift early. Was sitting on the stairs outside my room when she arrived. She got out of the car, saw me, started crying. I stood up. Mom, I'm okay. She climbed the stairs, hugged me so hard I couldn't breathe. She was shaking. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have known. I should have. You were taking care of Aunt Marie. You didn't know. It's not your fault. She pulled back, looked at me. Really looked. I probably looked terrible. Had lost weight. Had bags under my eyes from working nights and sleeping on a thin mattress. Show me, she said. I unlocked the door, led her into my 10x10 room. She stood in the doorway, took it in. The mattress on the floor, the rope with my clothes hanging, the hot plate I'd bought at Goodwill, the stack of instant noodles, the shared bathroom down the hall. This was where her son had been living for 2 weeks. She sat down on the mattress, patted the space next to her. I sat. Tell me everything, she said. So I did. The 2 a.m. kickout, the rain, the duffel bag, the walk to Mel's, the break room, finding this place, the instant noodles. Not telling her because she had enough to deal with. She listened, didn't interrupt, just held my hand. When I finished, she was quiet for a long time. Then she took out her phone, made a call. Hi, I need to speak with Karen Williamson, please. Yes, I know it's late. This is Susan Chen. Tell her it's urgent. She waited. I sat there, confused. Karen? It's Susan. I need a divorce attorney. The best you know. I don't care about the cost. My eyes went wide. Mom, she held up a hand. Yes, I'm serious. I need someone who can move fast. File Monday morning. I want everything. She listened. Good. Email me the contact info. I'll call first thing Monday. She hung up, looked at me. Pack your things. You're coming home. But Dad, your father won't be there. I'm changing the locks tomorrow. The house is in my name. Inheritance from my father. He has no legal claim to it. I stared at her. You're kicking him out? I'm divorcing him. And yes, he's leaving. Tonight. Mom, you don't have to do this because of me. Tyler. She took my face in her hands. My father was a drunk, abusive, mean. I left home at 17 to get away from him. When I got pregnant with you, I made a promise. My child would never experience what I experienced, would never feel unwanted, would never be thrown out in the rain. Tears were streaming down her face now. I broke that promise. I left you alone with him and he threw you out like trash, made jokes about it, laughed with his friends. You didn't know. I should have known. I've been thinking about leaving him for 2 years. He's been getting worse. The drinking, the anger, the jealousy. But I kept hoping he'd change, that he'd get better. She wiped her eyes. Tonight, I walked into that bar and heard him laughing. Heard him call you a wet dog. Heard his friends congratulate him for tough parenting. And I realized I've been making excuses for him because he's my husband. But you're my son. And I will burn down my whole life before I let anyone treat you like that. Even your father. I couldn't speak. Just hugged her while we both cried. Finally, she pulled back. Now pack. We're going home. Your home. Where you've always belonged. We loaded my stuff into her car. Mrs. Nguyen came out, saw my mom, understood immediately. You good boy, she said to me. I know from the start. You going home now? Yes, ma'am, she nodded. Looked at my mom. You good mother. I see in your eyes. You take care of your son. Mom hugged her. Thank you for helping him. We drove back to the house. Dad's truck wasn't there. Mom opened the door, turned on all the lights. Go to your room. Get some real sleep. Tomorrow we'll get you proper food. Monday, I'm calling the locksmith. And the attorney. I went to my room. My actual room. Bed with real sheets, desk, computer. Everything exactly as I'd left it. I collapsed on the bed. Real pillow. Real blanket. Fell asleep before my head fully hit the pillow. Somewhere across town, my father came home to find the front door locked and his wife's car in the driveway. He knocked, called, texted. Mom didn't answer. He slept in his truck that night. And by Monday morning, the real war was going to begin. Monday morning, 6:47 a.m., my phone exploded. Dad. I was still half asleep in my actual bed, the first real sleep I'd had in 2 weeks, when the call came through. I stared at the screen. Let it ring. He called again immediately. On the third call, I answered. What? What the hell do you think you're doing? I pulled the phone away from my ear. He was screaming so loud I could hear him clearly 6 inches away. I'm sleeping, Dad. What do you want? Your mother changed the locks. She won't let me in the house. My own goddamn house. I sat up, rubbed my eyes. It's not your house. What? It's not your house. It's Mom's. Grandpa left it to her when he died. Your name's not on the deed. Silence. Then, you turned her against me. You told her some sob story. I didn't have to tell her anything. She walked into Murphy's Friday night and heard you laughing about throwing me out. Heard you call me a wet dog. Heard your friends congratulate you for tough parenting. More silence. She wasn't supposed to be home yet, he said finally. Quieter now, like he was realizing the magnitude of his mistake. Yeah, Aunt Marie's doing better. Mom came home early, and the first thing she did was look for me. You know, her son. The one you kicked out and didn't bother checking on for 2 weeks? Tyler, you have to talk to her. Tell her I didn't mean what? To throw me out? To laugh about it? Which part didn't you mean, Dad? I was drunk. I was frustrated. Work's been slow and you were walking around acting like what? Like I had my life together? Like I was working hard? Saving money? Going to school? Sorry that bothered you so much. His voice changed. Got defensive. You don't understand the pressure I'm under. Bills. Your mother spending money on her sister. You living here eating our food. I paid rent. $400 a month. Bought my own food. Cleaned up after myself. $400 doesn't cover. How much is the mortgage, Dad? What? The mortgage. On the house. How much is it? Silence. There isn't one, is there? Because Grandpa paid it off before he died. Left the house to Mom free and clear. So my $400 wasn't covering mortgage. It was just going straight into your pocket. That's not... What about the car? The Toyota you drive? Whose name is on that? He didn't answer. Mom's. Right? And the joint bank account. The one you pull money from for your bar tabs. How much of that money did you earn versus how much did Mom earn? I've been between jobs. For 2 years. Mom works full-time at the hospital. Hospital administrator. Salary. Benefits. Retirement. What do you contribute, Dad? Seriously. What do you actually pay for? The truth was sinking in now. I could hear it in his breathing. You've been living in her house, driving her car, spending her money, and you kicked out your son because you were jealous he was doing better than you. Tyler, please, talk to your mother. Tell her we can work this out. No? What? I'm not talking to her for you. I'm not convincing her to take you back. You did this. You threw me out in the rain at 2 a.m. and laughed about it with your buddies. You made your choice. Now live with it. You ungrateful little... I hung up. He called back 4 times. I blocked the number. Downstairs, Mom was making coffee. She looked exhausted but determined. Your father called you? Yeah, screaming. Wants me to convince you to let him back in. She laughed. Bitter. Of course he does. He called me 17 times last night. Left voicemails, texts, everything from apologizing to threatening to begging. What did you say? Nothing. I'm saying everything through my attorney now. Karen gave me a referral. Rachel Morrison. Best divorce attorney in the state. I'm meeting with her at 10 a.m. Mom, you don't have to rush this. Yes, I do. Tyler, I've been thinking about this for 2 years. Every time he came home drunk. Every time he yelled about bills while contributing nothing. Every time he made you feel small for having ambition. She poured 2 coffees, handed me one. Your father is a good man in some ways, but he's also angry, jealous, and he drinks too much. I kept hoping he'd change. Get help. Be the man I married. But Friday night, when I heard him laughing, she trailed off, wiped her eyes. That wasn't a man who made a mistake. That was a man who enjoyed hurting his own son. And I can't live with that person anymore. The meeting with Rachel Morrison was exactly what you'd expect. Professional, efficient, ruthless. Rachel was maybe 50, gray suit, leather briefcase, the kind of woman who'd probably never lost a case in her life. Susan, Tyler, thank you for coming in. She shook our hands. I've reviewed the preliminary information Karen sent over. Before we proceed, I need to understand the full financial picture. Mom pulled out a folder. Had everything organized. Because of course she did. Hospital administrator. She lived in spreadsheets. The house is in my name only. Inherited from my father 8 years ago. Current value approximately $340,000. No mortgage. Rachel made notes. We have 2 cars. The Toyota Camry is in my name. The Ford pickup is in my husband's name, but I paid for it. I have the purchase receipt. Good. Anything else? Joint bank account. Current balance $34,000. Approximately 80% of deposits come from my salary over the last 5 years. My husband works construction, but the work is sporadic. Does he have his own accounts? Not that I'm aware of. Everything runs through our joint account? Rachel looked up. So to be clear, you own the house outright. You own 1 car outright. You effectively funded the second car. And you've contributed 80% of the joint savings. Yes? What does your husband contribute financially to the household? Mom was quiet. Not much. Maybe $15,000 a year when work is good. Most of that goes to his personal spending, bar tabs, his friends. And you want full separation of assets? I want everything that's mine, the house, the Camry, my portion of the joint account. And I want him to have no claim to my pension or retirement. Done. With this financial picture, there's no judge in the state who would award him anything significant. You're the primary earner. The house is your inheritance. He has minimal financial contribution. Rachel leaned forward. But I need you to understand something. Your husband will fight this. Men like him always do. Not because they want the marriage, because they want the lifestyle you provided. Are you prepared for that fight? Mom didn't hesitate. Yes. Good. I'll have papers drawn up today. We'll file tomorrow morning. Service will be by the end of the week. And just like that, the war began. Dad was served at his brother's house. Uncle Jim had taken him in, let him sleep in the basement. 1 week after Mom locked him out. According to Uncle Jim, who called Mom to apologize for his brother's behavior, Dad lost his mind when he read the divorce papers. Threw things. Screamed. Claimed Mom was stealing everything from him. It's my house. I've lived there for 20 years. Uncle Jim apparently set him straight. Mark, the house was never yours. Susan's father left it to her. You know that. But I'm her husband. And you threw your son out at 2 a.m. in the rain and laughed about it. What did you think was going to happen? Dad tried to get a lawyer. Free consultation. The lawyer read the financials and basically told him he had no case. Sir, you don't own the house. Your name isn't on the deed. Your financial contribution to the marriage is minimal. You have no grounds for spousal support. And frankly, after what you did to your son, no judge is going to be sympathetic. I have rights. Yes, the right to whatever assets are solely in your name, which appears to be a 2008 Ford pickup and approximately $3,000 in your personal checking account. Dad tried representing himself. Filed counterclaims. Demanded half the house, half the retirement, spousal support. Rachel Morrison tore it apart in 48 hours. The divorce proceedings took 6 months. Not because there was anything to fight over, just because that's how long the system takes. During those 6 months, something interesting happened. Rick and Tommy, two of Dad's bar buddies who'd been there that Friday night, reached out to Mom's attorney. They wanted to testify. Rachel called Mom. "Did you know these men would be willing to make statements?" "No, I haven't spoken to them." "Well, they contacted my office, said they want to testify about what your husband said that night. They feel guilty about laughing along. Want to make it right." Mom agreed. Their depositions were brutal. Rick. Mark said he threw Tyler out at 2 a.m. in pouring rain, made jokes about how Tyler looked like a wet dog. We all laughed. I'm not proud of it. But that's what happened. Tommy. He was bragging, said he should have done it years ago, called Tyler disrespectful for having ambition, for saving money. It was jealousy, pure and simple. Rachel submitted the depositions as evidence of emotional abuse and hostile home environment. Dad's self-representation fell apart. By month 4, he tried to negotiate. Called Mom directly, against his lawyer's advice. He'd finally scraped together money for a cheap attorney who was already regretting taking the case. "Susan, please, can we talk? Without the lawyers?" "No. I made a mistake. I was drunk. I was angry. But we've been married for 23 years. And in 23 years you contributed almost nothing while living off my salary and my inheritance. I was willing to overlook that. But the moment you threw my son out and laughed about it, you became someone I don't recognize. He's my son too. Then act like it. Apologize to him. Mean it. Get help for your drinking. Show me you're capable of change." "I am. I've barely touched alcohol since it's been 4 months. You were sober for 3 weeks after we got married too. Then you fell off. I'm done waiting for you to be the person you promised to be." She hung up. The final settlement came through in month 6. Mom got the house, the Camry, $27,000 from the joint account, her 80% contribution, and 60% of Dad's small retirement account from his union days. Dad got the pickup truck, $7,000 from the joint account, and 40% of his own retirement. No spousal support either direction. Clean split. When the judge signed the papers, Rachel turned to Mom. "That's one of the most one-sided settlements I've seen in a decade, and completely fair given the circumstances." Dad stayed at Uncle Jim's basement room. Tried to get his construction crew to take him back full-time, but his reputation for unreliability preceded him. Got part-time work, barely enough to cover his portion of Uncle Jim's bills. Meanwhile, I moved back into my room permanently. Mom insisted. "This is your home. It's always been your home. He had no right to take that from you." She helped me re-enroll in school. Full-time this time. Quit the warehouse job. She covered my tuition. "Focus on your education. That's what matters. I've got the bills covered." "Mom, I can work part-time." "No. I lost 2 weeks of your life to your father's cruelty. I'm not losing 4 years to financial stress. Study. Graduate. Make something of yourself. That's all I want." So I did. That fall, I enrolled full-time at the state university. Transferred my community college credits. Declared a major in business management. I studied. Made the dean's list. Got internships. Built a resume. And every Sunday I had dinner with Mom in our kitchen. In her house. The one she inherited. The one she'd protected. The one that was finally, truly, ours. Dad called once during those months. I let it go to voicemail. "Tyler, it's Dad. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. For everything. I know I messed up. I was angry and drunk and stupid. I miss you. I miss being your dad. If you ever want to talk, I'm here." I saved the voicemail. Didn't delete it. But didn't call back either. Some apologies come too late. Some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt. And some lessons can only be learned through consequences. Dad was learning his now. Living in his brother's basement. Working part-time construction. Drinking less because he couldn't afford to drink more. Alone. While the son he threw out was thriving. And the wife who'd supported him for 23 years was finally free. 3 years later, everything would come full circle. But that's a story for graduation day. 3 years later. May 15th. Graduation day. I stood in line with 300 other students, cap and gown, Diploma about to be handed over. Bachelor's degree in business management. Dean's list all 6 semesters. 2 internship offers already accepted for after graduation. Not bad for the kid who got kicked out at 2 a.m. in the rain. The auditorium was packed. Families everywhere. Parents crying, grandparents taking photos, little siblings running around bored. I scanned the crowd. Found her in the 4th row. Mom, sitting alone, holding a bouquet of flowers. Kleenex already in her hand because she'd started crying during the opening speech. She saw me looking, waved, mouthed, "I'm so proud of you." I waved back. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out. Text message. Dad. Congratulations, Tyler. I'm proud of you. I always knew you'd make it. Love, Dad. I stared at the message for a long moment. 3 years. That's how long it had been since I'd spoken to him. Since that Monday morning phone call when he'd screamed about the locks. 3 years of voicemails I didn't return. Birthday texts I didn't answer. Christmas messages that went ignored. And now this. Graduation day. I'm proud of you. I put the phone back in my pocket without replying. The ceremony continued. Names called, students walked, families cheered. Tyler Chen. I walked across that stage, shook the dean's hand, took my diploma, heard one voice above all the others screaming and clapping. Mom. Standing up, hands above her head, crying and cheering like I just won an Olympic gold medal. I looked right at her, pointed, mouthed, "Thank you." She blew me a kiss. After the ceremony, I found her in the crowd. She grabbed me, hugged me so tight my ribs hurt. "I'm so proud of you. So proud. I couldn't have done it without you, Mom." "Yes, you could have. You're brilliant. You're hardworking. You're everything I always knew you'd be." She handed me the flowers. Took about 1,000 photos. Some with me alone, some with us together, some with my friends who'd gathered around. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Dad. "Are you there? Can I see you? Just for a minute?" "I'm in the parking lot." Mom saw my face. "Your father?" "Yeah, he wants to see me." "Do you want to see him?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. 3 years ago, he threw me out in the rain. Laughed about it with his friends. Didn't check on me for 2 weeks. Called me a wet dog. Then spent 6 months fighting Mom for money he never earned. For a house he never owned. While I rebuilt my life from a mattress on a laundromat floor. "No," I said. "I don't." Mom squeezed my hand. "Then don't. Today is your day. You don't owe him anything." So I didn't reply. Just put my phone on silent. Spent the rest of the day celebrating with the person who'd actually been there. We went to dinner. Nice restaurant. Mom's treat. We laughed. Talked about my job offers. About her thinking of retiring soon. About maybe taking a trip together. Europe, Asia. Somewhere we'd never been. "You deserve it," I said. "After everything you've done for me." "Tyler, being your mother is the greatest thing I've ever done. Everything else is just details." That night, back at home. Our home. The one she'd inherited. The one she'd fought for. We sat on the back porch. She had wine. I had beer. "Can I tell you something?" she asked. "Of course." "I'd been planning to leave your father for 2 years before he kicked you out." I looked at her. "Really?" "Really." The drinking was getting worse. The anger. The jealousy. He'd make comments about my salary. About the house being from my father. Like he resented me for having anything that wasn't his. She took a sip of wine. I was just waiting for the right moment. Saving money in a separate account he didn't know about. Talking to lawyers quietly. Building an exit strategy. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because you were my son, not my therapist, not my confidant. I didn't want to burden you with adult problems while you were trying to build your own life." Then he kicked me out. Then he kicked you out, and handed me the perfect reason to leave. He gave me moral high ground, gave me a story that no one could argue with. He hurt our child. What kind of mother stays with a man who does that? She looked at me. My father was abusive, drunk, mean. I left home at 17 to escape him. Swore my children would never experience what I experienced. And when I heard your father laughing in that bar, her voice cracked. I realized I'd failed. I'd let you live with a man who was becoming just like my father. Angry, jealous, cruel. And I'd made excuses for him because he was my husband. You didn't fail, Mom. You fixed it. I should have fixed it sooner, before he hurt you. But you did fix it. That's what matters. You chose me over him. You chose us over comfortable. She wiped her eyes. My father taught me what family shouldn't be. My mother taught me what it should be. She was kind, patient, loving. She stayed too long with my father trying to make it work. But she always protected us kids. Always put us first. You're like her. I hope so. She passed away when I was 19. Cancer. I think about her every day. About what she'd think of the life I built. The son I raised. She smiled through tears. I think she'd be proud. Of both of us. We sat in comfortable silence. Listening to crickets. Watching fireflies. What's your father doing now? I asked. Still at Uncle Jim's. Works construction part-time. Drinks less because he can't afford to drink more. Uncle Jim says he talks about you sometimes. About how he messed up. How he wishes he could take it back. But he doesn't actually apologize. No, not really. He says sorry but then adds, but you have to understand, or I was under a lot of pressure. He can't just say I was wrong. Some people can't. No, some people can't. And that's why they end up alone in their brother's basement at 53, wondering where their life went. We finished our drinks, went inside. I looked around the house, the kitchen where we had Sunday dinners, the living room with Mom's photos on the wall. My graduation picture would join them soon. This was home. Real home. Not because of the building, because of the person who made it safe. Present day. 6 months after graduation. I'm working at a tech startup. Junior business analyst. Good salary, benefits, 401k. The kind of job Dad said I'd never get without connections. I got it because of my degree, my internships, my work ethic, the things he mocked me for. Mom retired last month, full pension. The house is paid off. She's taking art classes, traveling, living the life she postponed for 23 years while married to a man who contributed nothing. We still have Sunday dinners, every week, her house. Sometimes I cook, sometimes she does. Always just us. Sometimes her friends join. Sometimes my girlfriend comes. But it's always centered around that table, that kitchen, that home. Dad still texts occasionally. Birthdays, holidays, random Tuesdays when he's feeling sentimental. Thinking of you. Hope you're well. Miss you, son. Can we talk? I don't reply. I've moved on. Built a life he has no part in. According to Uncle Jim, who I still talk to because he's a good guy who tried to set his brother straight, Dad still tells people he had to use tough love on me. That kicking me out made me stronger, made me successful. He can't admit the truth. That he threw out his son out of jealousy and cruelty. That he lost his wife because of it. That he destroyed his own life through his own actions. It's easier for him to rewrite history. Make himself the tough but fair father. Not the drunk who laughed about his son standing in the rain. The bar friends are gone too. Rick and Tommy stopped talking to him after they testified in the divorce. The others drifted away when he couldn't buy rounds anymore. He drinks alone now, at home. Cheaper that way. Sometimes I wonder if he thinks it was worth it. That moment of power. Throwing his son out. Feeling like the king of his castle. Was it worth losing everything? I don't think he's capable of asking himself that question. But I am. And I know the answer. Last week I was at Home Depot buying supplies for a project. Ran into Mrs. Nguyen, the woman who rented me that room above her laundromat. She hugged me. Tyler, you look good, healthy. I'm doing well, Mrs. Nguyen. Really well. I knew you would be. I tell people about you sometimes. About the boy who lived in my laundromat room. Who worked hard. Who never complained. Look at you now. She pulled out her phone, showed me a photo. Her son, the engineer she'd told me about. He got married last month. Beautiful wife. Good job. I'm so proud. That's wonderful. You remind me of him. Same energy, same determination. Your mother did good job. She did. She really did. I drove home thinking about the last 3 years, about how one night changed everything. If Dad hadn't kicked me out, would Mom have left him? Eventually, probably. But maybe not for years. Maybe I'd have graduated college still living in that house, still walking on eggshells around his moods. In a twisted way, he freed us both. He just didn't mean to. That night, Mom called. Dinner Sunday? Always. Good. I'm making that chicken thing you like, and I have news. What news? Sunday. It's a surprise. Sunday came. I showed up at 5, let myself in with my key. Mom was in the kitchen, humming, happy. What's the news? I asked. She turned around, grinning. I'm selling the house. My heart dropped. What? Why? Because it's too big for one person. Too many memories. Some good, some bad. I'm ready for something new. Where will you go? I bought a condo, downtown. 2 bedrooms. One for me. One for when you visit. Walking distance to restaurants, shops, art galleries. No lawn to maintain. No gutters to clean. Just freedom. She looked happier than I'd seen her in years. The house served its purpose. Protected us when we needed protecting. But I don't need protection anymore. I need adventure. I hugged her. I think that's amazing, Mom. Good. Because I'm putting your father's name on a list of people who are not allowed at the open house, along with his brother and those bar friends. We both laughed. That's the thing about burning bridges. Sometimes the light from the fire shows you the path forward. And sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's living well. Being happy. Building something beautiful from the ashes. It's Sunday dinners with your mother in her new condo. It's a career you built yourself. It's knowing that the person who tried to break you only made you stronger by accident. And it's looking back on that night, standing in the rain at 2 a.m. soaking wet, watching the door close, and realizing it wasn't an ending. It was the beginning of everything good that came after. My father taught me what family shouldn't be. My mother taught me what it should be. And that's the only lesson I'll ever need.